I'm here interviewing Kes Shadid. And Kes, tell us where you're from and what program you're in at AIIAS.
Yes, well, actually, I am an Ethiopian citizen that was born in Jamaica, grew up in the United States, and I'm now currently a DMin student here in AIIAS.
And almost finished as we're doing this interview.
Yes.
So congratulations, as you are soon to defend. Yes.
Praise the Lord.
Kes, as I have gotten a little bit acquainted with your story, it has a very interesting trajectory, starting with the fact that you were not an Adventist when you were a child, and you came to Adventist belief through an interesting series of events and places. So tell us a little bit about your life and how you've come from there to here. I know that's a span, but it's a very interesting one.
Yes, well, just to be brief, I grew up as a Catholic, and my experience within the Catholic Church was not a good one, so it led me to kind of despise Christianity. And I had that kind of negative outlook toward Christianity until when I was in university. And it's so interesting that I was with some friends one day, and we were going to get some food. At that time, I was a worldly person. My life was completely far away from God, and I was especially very closely connected to reggae music. And one of my friends invited me to eat some food with a guy that used to cook for Bob Marley, and I said, okay, let's go. And when we went there was a man. He was a Rastafarian man, and he was having a Bible. At that time, I had a very negative outlook on the Bible, and he was saying, let's study the Bible. And I said, no, I don't want to study this Bible because I didn't like it. And he said, don't let anyone fool you. Read it for yourself. And since he didn't look like a Christian, he looked different from any Christian I've seen. And he showed me something in the Bible that was very interesting. He showed me Ethiopia in the Bible. And I know that my ancestors are from there. And it really inspired me to read the Bible. And when I read the Bible clearly pointed me to the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
So as you looked at the beliefs and your beliefs matched with the Adventist Church, you joined. And then shortly after that, you took off from the U.S.
Yes.
So tell us about that.
Yes, it was interesting, because I had made a plan to return to Africa, where my ancestors come from, and more specifically Ethiopia. And, I didn't tell anyone about this plan, and I was baptized 2 weeks before I went. And the last Sabbath, before I would leave the United States to go to Africa, there was a sermon. I went and I listened to the sermon, and the guy was preaching, the pastor was preaching, the church was full of people, and his main sermon was about mission. He said, we have to go everywhere and preach the gospel, go to Europe, go to China, go to South America. And in the midst of that big crowd, he looked and pointed at me and said, go to Africa and preach the gospel. And that's what I had been doing for the last 17 years before I came to AIIAS, preaching the gospel in Ethiopia specifically.
17, and you settled down in a particular community in Ethiopia. Talk about that a little bit.
Yes, well, that community is a community that was given to those people of African descent that desired to return to Africa from the West. And that community, that offer was given to African diaspora in the West, but the main people that took up that offer were the Rastafarians. And that's where I reside. And I actually attended our college, Ethiopian Adventist College, which is just about 10 kilometers away from that community.
So can you explain a little bit about Rastafarian beliefs? I think some folk might be a little acquainted with the looks, but not necessarily the beliefs.
Yes, well, Rastafari it's a belief that's mixed with elements of Judeo-Christianity, as well as some other African traditional elements that are kind of amalgamated into Afrocentric religion. I think we could call it Afro-Caribbean religion.
Okay.
Yes.
With a great respect for the former emperor.
Yes,
of
yes,
Ethiopia.
and they have some of them elevate the former emperor of Ethiopia to the status of either God, Christ, or Christ's representative. Yes.
So you were living in this community. You went to the Ethiopian Adventist College.
Yes.
And then?
Well, actually, I finished a diploma in agriculture, a degree in theology, and another degree in educational planning and management. And I served in Ethiopian Adventist College as a college lecturer, as a high school Bible teacher, as an overseas elementary principal and elementary Bible teacher and English teacher, as well as sometimes filling in for some educational classes in the college.
That is broad experience, very broad experience in a small school. Is that correct?
Yes.
Usually in a small school is where they give you that variety of things to do.
Yes. The school is not so big. At one point, the college had almost 1,000 students, but it has declined over the years. But it's generally a small school.
Okay.
Yes.
And talk to me a little bit about how God led you from there to AIIAS.
Well, in Ethiopian Adventist College, we have a lot of missionaries that come from the Philippines, and a lot of our administration and faculty were trained in AIIAS. So we all know about AIIAS at Ethiopian Adventist College. And it was very interesting because at the time that I was planning to come here, our institution they were going through financial difficulties. And nevertheless, they asked me, why don't you upgrade yourself? I told them of my desire to study theology, and they said, why don't you apply? And I applied, and I was accepted. And when I presented my case, or when I presented my desire to study to the board of the school, they said, we would love to help you, but unfortunately, we don't have the financial resources right now. And anyhow, a kind soul, a kind individual heard about that and said, don't worry, I will sponsor you, I'll take care of you, and you can finish your master's degree. And he bought my plane tickets and paid my security deposit. And then I arrived at AIIAS 3 years and 7 months ago, and I think that was all that he could do. He wasn't able to do anything after that. But God took it up from there, and now I have not only finished my master's, but I'm almost to finish my doctorate program.
Wow. So for those who might not know where they could get all of the resources, how have you made this work during your 3 years and 7 months once they got you here and then didn't support you further?
Wow, well, I can say that it was God 100% using a number of different individuals. I had a lot of support from the Ethiopian communities in America as well as Europe. I had also a lot of support from even some of the communities here on AIIAS, Chinese, and also I had a lot of support also from Filipinos. And I've had the most support, I think, from AIIAS, because AIIAS has awarded me scholarships. Also, my wife was also the housing coordinator, so that also covered a massive portion of our debt. And also, I was also a recipient of the Shanshun scholarship. So this, and plus God opening up so many doors, He has provided miraculously for my wife and I since we've been here.
Wonderful. So His leading is clear.
Very clear.
So let me ask you a funny question that I wondered when I first saw you.
Yes.
Tell me about the hair thing.
Oh, yeah, that's a question that many people ask. And, when I started reading the Bible, I was so fascinated with people such as Samuel, Samson, John the Baptist, and even the Apostle Paul. These individuals, they had what was called the Nazarite vow, where they grew their hair for God.
Yes.
And so, about 18 years ago, while I was an Adventist, I really prayed about it, and I said, God, I want to be like those people. And I made a decision to live a life of a Nazarite. And very interestingly, that was when I started my preaching ministry. I never had a plan to be a preacher, but as soon as I said, I want to be a Nazarite, people started calling me to preach all over.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting. That's, I guess my question is, does it give you any particular entrance into the Rastafarian community as you witness to them, or does it not make any difference?
Well, for the Rastafarian community, yes, because when they see me as one of them, although I've never been a Rastafarian, but they can see that even though many of them also know that I'm a Christian, they can somehow connect with me a little bit more. And also for my other fellow Ethiopians, since they're not used to seeing Rastafarian Christians, they're also happy to see me as well.
Yes.
Or, I mean, not Rastafarian, but people who look like Rastafarians becoming Christians, so they're also very happy as well.
Great. Your dissertation topic, dissertation,
Yeah.
correct? Your dissertation topic is a very interesting one. Can you give us the brief summary of what you have done for that research project?
Yes, well, it's basically a case study on Christians who have converted to Christianity from Rastafarianism. And some of them are Adventist, some of them are not. It just kind of analyzes what were the factors that led them to Christianity, and what were some of the good things that they got from Rastafarianism, and what were some of the bad things, and kind of developing a strategy of how we can reach out more to the Rastafarian community of Shashamane, Ethiopia.
So if there is one thing that you've learned through that study that would be applied to your ministry and leadership, what might you say that is?
If there's one thing that I've learned from that study, is that I've learned that in order to reach people, we have to follow Christ's methods. We have to meet their needs. We have to know also, we have to also put ourselves in their situation. Because living in a Rastafarian community for so many years, I realized I knew so little about Rastafarians because I've never been one. So I've really learned a lot about them, and I've learned that in order to really reach someone, you need to really put yourselves in their situation and become as Christ-like as possible and follow his methods. Yes.
Tell me about AIIAS and how the experience here has taught you, or you've experienced things that have prepared you for leadership.
Well, if I was to summarize AIIAS with one word, I would just say wonderful. AIIAS, my experience here has been wonderful. It has been a small taste of heaven on earth. And I have had a lot of opportunities to develop leadership skills, starting with our morning prayer group that we have every morning at 5 o'clock, which we're always praying for you and the school every morning.
Thank you.
And also right after that, Morning Star. I'm a leader of the prayer group. I was a leader of Morning Star.
Morning Star is the exercise group.
Yes, and also we've had lots of opportunities to take leadership roles in the community. I'm a part of the African community. I've had a chance to participate there, as well as in some of the associations like the African Theological Association, AIIAS African Theological Association. I've also had chances to exercise leadership there, also in student association, also going out with and doing outreach outside. I have also been privileged and blessed to be the leader of a very nice Bible group in the Pasay Adventist Church. So I've had a lot of experiences to develop leadership skills here at AIIAS and in the Philippines in general, yes.
A community of leaders with a heart for mission.
Yes.
What do you think will happen now as you're finishing and graduating? What is the dream or the plan or the vision next?
Well, my dream or my vision is to go wherever God wants me to go. My plan, however, is going to Ethiopia to return where I was, but I will leave tomorrow in God's hands.
Okay.
Yes.
We live in the present.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you so much, Kes.
Oh, thank you. God bless you.
Thank you.